Harbaugh's hilarious. Harbaugh's become more of a character as he's gotten older.
He's the biggest personality on that entire team right now.
No doubt about it. James Jones, this is maybe my favorite question of the day because Herbert, obviously, especially with me, has caused a lot of polarization in the NFL. I labeled him a social media quarterback because of what he does on social media, but in real life, we don't see the results. So, James, what does Herbert have to prove this season?
Herbert has to win a playoff game. Herbert has to prove that I don't care what's around me, I can help my team win, and I can win a playoff game. We've seen everything we need to see from Herbert, except win a playoff game and really be the best player on the football field and lead your team to victory. Defense ain't got to play well, right? I'm going to make sure we win some games. We've seen 4,000-yard passers. We've seen any and every throw that you want to see. We've seen him getting pulled down, making a great throw. We've seen him outside the pocket making a great throw, inside the pocket making a great throw. Since he's came into the National Football League, he's third most, 14. He got 14 fourth-quarter comebacks, third most since he's come into the National Football League. The only thing he hasn't done is win a playoff game. And we talk all the time about the talent Herbert has and the type of quarterback Herbert is, and it's not equaling to wins and especially playoff wins. To me, that's the only thing he has to prove. If he goes out here, Dave, and throws for 4,000 yards, you surprised?
No, not at all. If
he goes out here and don't win a playoff game, you surprised?
No. We're talking about this year? We're talking about the 2024 LA Chargers have to win a playoff game.
Herbert does.
Herbert. He's on the 2024 LA Chargers.
He got to be the best player on that team.
He's still, maybe I missed it. He still plays in the AFC, right?
Yes, he does.
The Chargers, they're still in the AFC West. They still share a division with Patrick Mahomes.
Mahomes.
They're still over on that side of the league where Lamar, Joe, Josh, Aaron, Tua. I think I got Trevor. I didn't get everybody. CJ. I just keep going. Where are we getting these expectations from that we expect the Chargers to do that with what's on their roster right now?
Because what else does he have to prove, Dave, to you?
I need Justin Herbert to prove that on what I think, and as we're going to find out in this segment, maybe I'm alone in this, I think the Chargers are a bad roster right now. I think Jim Harbaugh was brought in to revamp an aging, expensive roster. That's why Keenan Allen is in Chicago. That's why Mike Williams is in New York. They had to get those two deals off the books. That's why Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack had to take pay cuts to stay in L.A. because they were on the chopping block too. That's why Austin Eckler is in Washington. They got rid of a lot of aging talent. What Justin Herbert has to prove to me is in what I think is a transition year, he is that guy that you can build around. If Justin Herbert on this team, Ladd McConkey's going to start at receiver for the Chargers, guys.
So he has not shown you that yet?
Josh Palmer, I need him to keep showing it. I need him to stay healthy, number one. He's already dealing with injuries in training camp. Injuries have been a problem for him for a couple years. Remember, he took that nasty rib cartilage injury at the beginning of the 22 season. I need him to stay healthy. And I want to see, we hold Justin Herbert to such a high standard. Like, his numbers have not been that good in a couple years. He hasn't had a 4,000-yard season in a couple years. He hasn't sniffed 30 passing touchdowns in a couple years. I want to see him play like that. And if he does it on a roster that I think is one of the lesser ones in the entire NFL, it's going to prove all I need to see about Justin Herbert. And then we can talk about the Chargers as a team we should take seriously in 2025.
I forgot, Jack. I forgot what I was going to say until I heard Dave talk.
Did I just make you that mad?
No, so what we do is we prep these shows at home to take y'all behind the curtain. We prep these shows oftentimes in the morning, 7 a.m., 8 a.m., 9 a.m. Then we meet again at 1 o'clock before the show is live at 2 Pacific time. I completely forgot what I was going to say. Then I heard Dave make all these excuses for Herbert. And I remembered what I was going to say about Justin Herbert, what he has to prove this season. Be greater than your greatest excuse. That's what Herbert has to prove this season. Because what we like to do for Justin Herbert is make excuses for him. But everybody in the world, you at home too, have an excuse. We all have excuses. Can you be greater than your greatest one? Patrick Mahomes proved he can be greater than his greatest excuse. Last year, his receivers were dropping balls. Josh Allen proved he can be greater than his greatest excuse is his defense was depleted. Players were getting injured left and right. Stephon Diggs, he went AWOL. We didn't know what happened to him. Joe Burrow was greater than his greatest excuse is his offensive line was completely maligned and injured, and they were atrocious on his way to a Super Bowl. Lamar Jackson, greater than his greatest excuse, as many people said his offensive coordinator was holding him back, and his running back room is more depleted than one can imagine. But Justin Herbert refuses to be greater than his greatest excuse, and he has excused this. His defense was not good during the course of his first 4 years of his NFL career as it pertains to rankings. He has excuses. First-round pick Quentin Johnson, he could not catch a cold last year. He has excuses, but everybody has excuses in the NFL. Can you be greater than your greatest excuse? All I heard from Dave Helman, though it was brilliantly and eloquently said, were excuses. The roster's
Brilliant,
not good.
eloquent trash over here.
The roster's not
Eloquent,
good.
but it wasn't good.
But they're all excuses. Everybody in this life will have an excuse. You watching this show, you have an excuse for why you haven't gotten to where you want to get to in this life. But can you be greater than your greatest excuse? And at 30-32, Justin Herbert's career record, he has not yet been greater than his greatest excuse. That's what I need.
So with all that whole take, he got to win.
Yeah.
I think I want to touch back on the topic, right? What does Justin Herbert have to prove this season? Just be the second best QB in the AFC West. Because you're not going to be better than Patrick Mahomes. We all know that, right? You have Denver. You have Bo Nix over there, right? Hey, you got the
Gardner Minshew.
the Raiders? Who's over there?
Gardner Minshew.
Right, so listen at this. Just be the second best. That's all I ask. Can you be the second best QB in, like you said, win a playoff game? I think one thing I can go back to 2022 when I was in Las Vegas. We had to win the last game, and we played in Las Vegas, and we went back and forth. It was a crazy game. But Justin Herbert, like every time they got a chance to score, they scored. And I'm like, that kid is special, man. I definitely seen a lot in that kid. So at the end of the day, just go out there and be the second best. That's all I got for you, man.
That's actually fair.
He can do that, though. That's good expectations.
He definitely can do that. And if he doesn't, that's the woo.
It is fair. And it still wouldn't be good enough to even get him into the playoffs. When you consider there's 3 wild card spots. Does anybody here? James, you don't expect him to win the AFC West, right? We're not going that far.
We ain't saying all that,
Justin
man.
Herbert.
No, man, I'm giving it to Patty.
Exactly. So,
But it's 7 playoff teams.
The Chargers are fighting for one of 3 playoff spots.
Like a lot of teams.
He can be the second
But
best
let's
team
be
in his
realistic,
division
Dave.
and not be better than 6 different teams.
This is all I'm saying, Dave. Is the dude a special talent?
Incredibly.
Yeah, for sure.
He's a special talent at the quarterback spot.
Yes.
Just got a bunch of money from how talented he is, because he ain't get a bunch of money off of winning. He got a bunch of money off of how talented he is, and we all can see how special he is with our own 2 eyes. And I think that's the most frustrating part because it's not equaling winning.
Here's my thing.
Great quarterbacks cover up rosters.
He preaching. What offer plate, James?
I'm serious.
But
Great
that's-
quarterbacks cover up
Put
rosters.
in an offer plate.
His new coach had Colin Kaepernick,
There it is.
Alex Smith. Can we say that Justin Herbert is a better pro quarterback than those 2?
He preaching.
More talented. It's like he hasn't accomplished as much as I would guess. But yeah.
Obviously, that's why I'm saying that's what he has to prove because he hasn't accomplished that. But all I'm saying is he took Kaepernick and Alex Smith where?
That roster nowhere near that
And
defense.
I'm not saying you got to go to the Super Bowl, but you're the best one that he's coached. Can we get a playoff game? That should be the standard for him.
He could cover up the flaws with the Chargers roster, and they could still be a 7 or 8 win team.
Here's why I disagree.
That is what I think is the state of the LA Chargers
Let me make it even more realistic. Is remember Carson Wentz, and Jack, you'll remember this. It was, I think, the 2018 or 19 season. Eagles went to the playoffs. Carson Wentz threw for 4,000 yards, and he had not one 500-yard wide receiver. First quarterback in the history of the National Football League who threw for 4,000 yards without a 500-yard receiver. His number 1 or number 2 wide receiver was Greg Ward, a former college quarterback at the University of Houston. I say that to say Carson Wentz quite literally covered up how empty and barren the cupboards were at that time and helped the Eagles get to the playoffs. Obviously, I think Jadeveon Clowney, knee, first or second series, ended up getting hurt in the playoffs. What I want to see, Dave, is special. Because that season, I saw Carson be special. If Peyton Manning is going to list Justin Herbert in the top 5 with Pat, with Burrow, with Lamar, with Josh, I believe that those other 4 quarterbacks could elevate this Chargers roster to the playoffs. So if Herbert's going to be in those conversations, you got to do what those other quarterbacks that people want to put you in the same top 5 class at, remove Pat if you want to, you got to do what they would do.
Can I get in the weeds with you real quick?
Please do.
Because when you're talking about the NFC East, you're in my wheelhouse right now. Carson Wentz was great that year.
Yeah, he was.
And the Eagles did win the division. They won a mediocre division by beating Dallas at the end of the season. Dallas was an 8-8 team.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have that luxury when you share a division with Patrick Mahomes. So you are already behind the 8 ball. It's comparing apples and oranges. Because Justin Herbert could do what Carson Wentz did in 2018, and it's not going to win them the division. Because you got the best team in the world in your division.
Sure. But wouldn't it be enough? But it would be enough.
Wait, what?
You never know what's going to happen, man.
I mean, of course
They won the division with, 11 games last year? Am I right?
The Chiefs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't have their best year last year. Like, they won the division with 11 games last year.
They look a lot better.
If Herbert,
No, they do, but what I'm saying is coming into the season last year, you wouldn't have said, man, the Chiefs going to look terrible. They're going to win 11. We wouldn't have said that.
It's true. We disagree about how good the Chargers are outside of Herbert.
Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak, and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.